What's up, punters and dribblers? Welcome back to the Hello Sport podcast, another all-talk edition. And this Thursday, which is when it comes out, but obviously I'm dating it and maybe people aren't listening to it on a Thursday, but you get me. We are talking to Australian Olympian and professional boxer, Olympic medalist.
Well, a Commonwealth gold medalist, Olympic bronze medalist.
Now, you'll find out how he feels about his Olympic medal, but he is a very well-known Australian biffer.
Yeah, can biff.
Sweet science kid.
Also did a bit of plumbing.
Did plumbing, did biff, still biffs, got
Doesn't
a mullet,
plumb.
has a six-pack, cool dude, hot dude, big dick, Harry Garside.
You are listening to the Hello Sport podcast.
Did you fly back from Melbourne today?
Yeah, this morning.
Hectic. Whirlwind. So were you down there for the whole... So you were there for the tennis?
I was there for probably 85% of it. I had to come back to Sydney for some of it. But, mate, honestly, unreal.
And who was it with?
It's a Papa Heinzig.
That's champagne, is it?
Champagne, yeah. Yeah, nothing like Big Day Rosé. But
Well, no.
I didn't mind it.
Your contractual period, I assume, is over now, so you
didn't
can
mind the
say
taste of it. Didn't mind the taste of it.
Is that like... Are you getting a lot of those opportunities now? Is this like the biggest sort of brandy thing that you've done since you've stepped into a notoriety space? You're flying down to the Australian Open, you're sitting courtside, big dick swinger sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, mate. I enjoyed it. I took my mum as well.
That's
so
nice.
I was
That's cute.
Yeah, she loved it. You know, she absolutely loved it. Sitting on like the courtside seats. Bill Gates was sitting there the next day.
Was Bill there?
He was there the next day. I was spewing. I would have loved to have bumped shoulders with him. Just ask him to go on the jet and tell him I'm vaxxed.
Yeah, exactly. Jet to Epstein Island.
Touchy subject.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to go there.
No. It's for sale now, that island.
Yeah, with some fucking
Baggage.
some baggage. Yeah. Don't go digging it up. All alleged.
Yeah. So you're at the tennis. So what's that like, though? I guess, this kind of sounds like a dumb question. How long have you been, known for, famous for? When was it? Was it the Olympics 2 years ago?
Yeah, prior to the Olympics, like I think my following on Instagram was like 5,000 or 6,000.
Yeah,
wasn't I could upload some pretty naughty stuff on the weekends with my mates, or and no one really cared. But since the Olympics, mate, got to be a bit more careful, and it's fun, but no one really like prepares you for it. It's kind of weird stuff, you know what I mean? Like it's all kind of. I said this to my partner or my ex-partner now, but we're on good terms, so don't worry, it's not a touchy subject. So I said to her, I was like, it's like when people come up to you and boost you up, it's like, I know it's fake, like in the sense of like no one actually knows exactly who I am, if that makes sense. It's like I know who I am, my close community knows who I am. It's like I'm not as good as what people make me out to be. I'm also not as bad as what people make me out to be. It's all kind of fake.
Yeah. It's the extremes.
What do people generally say to you when they come up to you?
Oh, it's 99.9% nice. Absolutely, yeah. There's very rarely, of course, online you probably get post some weird stuff, mate. Some in dresses, some in like really just pushing the norm of what you know what I mean, what it is to be, I guess, a male athlete. So I don't really care too much about that. But online, it's probably a little bit more negative. But in person, it's 99.9% positive, which is.
I'd be shocked if someone came up to a fighter and started talking shit.
Well, you know what? You'd almost have to respect him a little bit because it's like online talking shit. It's a lot easier to do, especially to a fighter.
Has anyone ever asked you to throw down?
Oh, online, absolutely. Very rarely in person. I think when I was younger, it was pretty like when I was probably in my teenage years, it's like that. It's a win-win for them. You know what I mean? They get beaten. Oh, he's a boxer anyway. But if they beat me, which is a big chance on the piss, it's a massive chance. Yeah. It's like, you know, their notoriety sort of gets improved as well. So like I always try my best. I got good at talking to try and talk my way out of situations.
Right.
So I think that's probably the way to go these days.
Oh,
I don't know if you could be throwing down.
No, well, aren't you now? And this could be something that I've parroted from one of the great films, Con Air. I don't know if you've seen it. Nicolas Cage getting into his work. Have you seen it? You're a bit younger.
Yeah, great movie.
Good.
I had it on VCR. I can't really remember it though.
No, VCR. But I think he starts off beating the shit out of a guy in a car park who's trying to attack him and his wife, I believe. But he is registered as a deadly weapon himself. So I don't know if you are technically as
is
well.
that true? Because I remember hearing that
I've heard that
fighters
too.
are classified as weapons. Is that true?
I've heard that too, but I've never done research on it. I think as a professional boxer you are, because you have a license, but as an amateur boxer, which is what I was for 99% of my boxing career, it's like no one really cared.
Do you need to carry a license for your...
For your fists? It'd be awesome if you did.
I
Imagine
recently got a
pull it over.
boxing bag. I'm wondering if I need to get my arms licensed.
Well, I did see amateur. Did you hear that?
Well, so amateur I don't need to. If I was paid to do it.
Yeah, there's not much pro about you, mate. I know you go 12 rounds in the bag with like 10 minutes in between each round, but like,
it's a 7-hour session.
Okay, so no license. Well, thanks for clearing that up.
I just wanted to know again, like just back to the change, because when you do become recognisable, and it happened for you very quickly. Was there getting used to it periods? Has there been any drawback, or has it sort of just all been largely pretty cool, I guess? And also, you seem like quite a deep thinker, so like, and you're saying you don't, you know that a lot of it's bullshit when people come up and say, nice things. Do you spend a lot of time reflecting on just the nature of fame and all the things that come along with it, or are you pretty cruisy about the whole thing?
Oh, I'm a deep thinker, mate. Yeah, I love humans. I find humans the most interesting creatures, and myself as well. Like there's so much about this world that I think about. I think about way too much, way too often. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like people can come up to you and boost you up, but it's like if you start believing that, you get a false sense of exactly who you are. And if people are chopping you down, if you start believing that, you also have a false sense of who you are. Yeah. So it's like, I'm in the process. Don't get me wrong. I still search for it. Like, who doesn't love getting tapped on the ass? You mean people love it. You know what I mean? And I love it, mate. Like, or someone replies back to you, or someone reacts to your story. It feels good. Obviously, that's why social media is so successful. But I also know, I have a bit of understanding that it's all bullshit. And if you start relying on that for your happiness, then that's when I feel, for me, it gets a bit tricky.
Yeah. You say you're a deep thinker. Like, what have you been thinking about lately? Is there like a specific topic that you're on? I find myself getting into topics, like one thing will take my interest and I'll just pound that into the earth. Like ChatGPT, that AI stuff's really got its claws in it at the moment.
I've steered clear of it. It scares me too much.
It's terrifying, but I'm enjoying getting terrified, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What's tickling your fancy at the moment?
Probably at the moment it's a breakup, which is, we won't get all soppy and stuff like that, but it's just more around like just navigating that. I think in my life, breakups have been like one of the hardest periods.
Breakups are fucked.
Oh, they're
you're alive
honestly,
when you feel the pain of a
they
breakup.
Suck. And it's even worse. It's like we've broken up and we're on the best of terms. I kind of wish we had each other, so we didn't have to like.
Make it easier.
There's a bit of
You
spitefulness.
can say something fucked up here if you want to. Get it a hate.
If you want to get those wheels turning,
we can start the hate.
we can do that.
But yeah, that's probably what's going on right now. And just understanding, I think I love thinking about like what drives me, what motivates me, what is the thing. And a lot of it is stemmed from our upbringing. The thing that drives me the most is somewhere along the line, I don't know exactly what it is, someone made me feel, or I believed I wasn't good enough. So there's just like this massive internal battle of like, I am good enough, you're not good enough inside of myself, just like this seesaw. And it makes me achieve amazing things, but it's also not that fulfilling, because there's the times where I'm not achieving things, which is a lot of the time. You feel incomplete, you feel inferior. And then you strive to do an amazing thing, and then you feel good for a little period, and then straight back to here.
I was thinking about that the other day when all our close personal friend Ned Brockman of Ran Across the Fucking Country fame.
Well, different.
But he like, again, he's like you on Instagram, and I guess like very forthright and sharing what's going on. And just that he was talking about the highs and lows post run, and how, there are days when it's really struggling. And I was thinking about that, like when it comes to athletes, and you are always working towards this thing. Once that thing's done, it's like, do you crash after that, or is it just until you get back to that thing, like the high is so high, so nothing can really compare in between?
Yeah, 150%. There's so many. It's so complex. Like any situation, there's no real like one thing. One size fits all. One thing is perfect. Like I think it's so complex, any situation. But it's just like I find I am the best version of myself when I have a clear, direct goal and I'm working my ass off to get there. I feel really good. I might not feel good at the start. You're sort of working. You got to find peace with yourself. Find peace with your work. You got to have your own back and have your own word. consistently over time, but then you probably get halfway through the journey, you start feeling really positive about yourself. You start feeling really good, and then you get closer to the competition. You feel like you can run through a brick wall. Yeah, right. It's the best feeling.
And so you don't have any clear memory of what it is that maybe put that chip on your shoulder when you were younger.
There's a few things. I 100% could rattle off a few things, but like I inherited it from my dad. My dad very much believes this. So I inherited it from him, and then also as well, I lost in almost every sport that I played. It was always like second or third fiddle or mid-pack, and no, every kid wants to feel special. Every kid wants to be the bloody cross-country champion, you know what I mean, of the zone district. Like every kid wants that, and I never was that. I was pretty average. I was shit house. So
yeah, every kid wants to go to state or national.
I am fucking bee's dick away from
you want that blue ribbon
from shot put, but I just didn't have the thickness, the power, the size, the strength, the skill. Yeah. But I was close.
You got the trunk.
They gave me a couple of shot puts to take home to practice.
Did they?
Yeah, I was practicing in the backyard with a shot put, and like I'm just watching very unimpressed parents be like, "All right, throw it again."
Did you? When do you think you first tasted success? If you were shit house, as you put it. When you were growing up, when was the first time you came home with a blue ribbon?
Yeah, probably for me, like when I was younger, I was really bad at the state level. So I just wanted to win the state title, the Victorian state title. I was like...
In boxing here?
In boxing, yeah. When I do this, I played all sport prior to boxing, basketball, tennis, cricket, football, AFL. I played them all, but I was always mid-pack. Never really got the blue ribbon or the coach's award or the most improved or something like that. Like,
best and fairest.
Definitely didn't get the best and fairest. But yeah, so I think for me, it was probably when I won the state title at about age 14. Because for me, prior to that, it was just like, I just want to win the state title.
But like to get to a state title, you have to be winning something before then, don't you? Like you have to be winning some shit to be able to like get to a position of, you must have been gifted or talented to a point to get to a state title, or is that not how it works? Can you just rock up on state title day and just be like, I'm going to have a crack here?
Well, almost in a sense in boxing, because it's not like a popular sport. In any other sport, I think like running or cricket or you can't win it in cricket, but you know what I mean? Like if any individual sport, I think more people do that. Not many people do boxing. So it's like, I think the quota, you have to have over 3 fights. So it's not many.
Yeah, okay.
And then you enter, there's probably 1 or 2 other people in the division. So it's like it's pretty much anyone's there, and it's pretty, I wouldn't say it's easy, but at that point for me, it was a massive achievement.
Are you terrified at that age when you were going to fight people?
Oh, my first fight, the nerves running through your body when I was 12 years old for my first fight was just like, like unbearable.
I can imagine like being that young. I'd be terrified now, but like being a child and not necessarily being able to process everything that you're going through.
It's almost better though, because ignorance is bliss. Yeah, because I always watch someone who's over the age of 18, the nerves they have before a fight, they're fully functional, their brain's active, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
they've got all the boys in the crowd having a few beers, and you're about to get knocked out by old Dave from, you know what I mean? Like,
the plumber's about to fuck you up.
But yeah, for me, my first fight, like, mate, I had all my family, my friends, my brothers, mates. My grade 5 crush was there.
Oh, huge.
Huge. Brianna, she was there, and I got the shit punched out of me. So embarrassing.
Really?
2 8 counts in the last round. Almost got stopped. Thank God I didn't get stopped. But,
wow.
Dude, that's also crazy, this idea of a fucking, what were you, 12? Like a 12-year-old getting stopped. Like, there's something quite intense, because it's obviously an intense sport, but like if that happened to a 12-year-old, you're like, Jesus.
In front of the year 5 crush.
That's heartbreaking time. And the hour long, I lived about an hour from the city, so the hour long drive home with her sitting right next to me not speaking a word, like heartbreaking times.
Oh my God.
Did you try and say anything where you're like,
if that doesn't create champions, I don't know what will.
That'll motivate a man.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to feel this again.
I don't want to be back. I don't want to be in that car again.
Fuck
back seat. No way.
Shout out to your crush for actually getting in the car with you.
What's your approach to nerves these days? Do you let them sort of like wash over you? You know how they say nerves is good for you. Like, do you try and channel them? Like, have you got like an approach to nerves?
Yeah, for me, it's preparation. Yeah, so nerves are all, you're going to get nervous regardless of what you're doing if it's something really important, especially something like that, you're being put on show, your manhood's being questioned, there's so many things to it, it's very complex. But I think, for me, just making sure I prepare properly. When I don't prepare properly, oh boy, the nerves are almost uncontrollable. You don't even want to be there. You'd rather pull out of the fight almost. Yeah. But when you prepare properly, the nerves are still there, but you can just breathe through them, you can get through them.
When do you reckon?
Sorry, boys. I do these alarms throughout the day.
No worries. What's it for?
So I'll explain them first, and then I'll do them. But so there's probably 4 or 5 different themes, and each theme's different, and each individual theme goes off maybe 4 times throughout the day.
Okay.
And then I have to stop. This one's describes something you can see. So yeah, it's being in the present moment. This one. So it's just like
couple of hot boys.
Couple
of absolute stars.
Add that to the diary.
Right.
What am I looking at?
Stars.
Sex personified.
Talk about living in the moment.
And then other themes are like thoughts. So it's like if I catch myself, the alarm goes off in a negative thought, or there has been one that I was conscious of in the last hour, I have to reframe it to something I'm grateful for. If that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah.
And then there's other ones that I have to like build myself up with positive affirmations, and then visualize myself achieving the goal that I've got. And then also myself in 5-10 years, like the life that I want. I see myself sort of looking over a beach, have a family, got a couple of little kids running in the pool.
Shit. Where do you get these ideas from? Like, are you reading a lot of books about, I guess, the positive mindset and all that sort of stuff? Or like, are you coming up with this sort of thing yourself?
Oh, I wish I was, but yeah, a lot of it's just pulled from different athletes. Or the best thing about the world we live in, I know the older generation, they trash the phones. All these young people using the phones and stuff like that, but like we can use them to our advantage. Like as long as you're using them properly and you're not like, getting in a rabbit hole on YouPorn or something like that, or really wasting your time.
Never been there.
No.
Either.
No.
But yeah, so for me, it's just like you just try and utilize them, like podcasts, audiobooks. Like what are you sort of digesting on Instagram? And for me, it's a lot of positive things.
Yeah. How long have you been doing that for?
I did it prior to the Olympics, and then I did it for a period post Olympics. But I sort of naturally coming off the Olympics, there was like a period where I was pretty flat, man, and to do like positive affirmations when you're feeling flat is actually quite hard. You're sort of trying to boost yourself up, and then there's just something else going, mate, you're a piece of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
time to be positive.
It's like someone's booting you when you're down. It's yourself.
And have you found, was the impact immediate, or is it sort of something that's taken time to?
Every alarm's different. Obviously in a day, obviously every human feels a range of different emotions throughout the day. So it's like an alarm can go off when it's like someone's just cut me off in traffic and I'm feeling a little bit frustrated, you know what I mean? So it's like, it just depends on where you are in your day, in your mood cycle. And sometimes you're fully connected to it, and sometimes you feel amazing. And then other times you're just like, mate, I don't even want to do it.
Yeah.
But you still do it because I think Mike Tyson said is like, discipline is doing the things you don't like to do, but do them like you love it. And it's just like, that's all it is. Just continuously do things.
You were saying just before the alarm to remind you that you're looking at Hot Boys went off. You were saying how like we're just back to nerves, right? You're saying like when you're not prepared, you're shitting yourself and you're way more nervous. When's the last time you feel like you weren't prepared for a fight?
That's a great question. For me, it would have to be prior to the Commonwealth. Probably 2019. Sorry, 2019. Coming off the first tournament of 2019, I was in Bulgaria, and just like coming through. I had a really bad Christmas. A few things happened in my family. Also went through a breakup back then, 2018, 2019, and was just like living out of home, just a period of time. So I didn't have an amazing preparation. Usually you're fully locked in. So I rocked up to that tournament. I was shitting my pants. Still actually performed not too bad, but prior to the tournament, I was not in good state.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I can't imagine being unprepared to go in for a biff. Once you're in the fight, do the nerves go away? You sort of is that almost the relief when you're in there? Or is it just that there's like so much going on, you don't have time to be focusing on it?
Mate, you just want to be punched once. And once you get punched, like it's on. You know what I mean? Like animal instinct comes out, the years of preparation, the years of training, like it all kind of takes over.
Yeah.
The great fighters are the ones that can think in the moment, but it's like if you're underprepared, someone hits you, all your thoughts go out the window and it's just on. Like muscle memory comes out. It's the best feeling. I love like being inside that ring. I'll always do a combat sport of some sort. Boxing obviously takes its toll on your brain, slowly but surely. So I will, probably not much past 30. Just judging. I've done it since I was 9 years old. I don't have brain damage by the time I'm
No,
45.
is that what, yeah? Like, I mean, obviously we're talking about it, but like, do you do anything now? Do you notice anything now? Is there anything you're like...
I don't notice anything, but I think a big thing is it's like, because people who don't do boxing still get brain conditions. So it's like, is it the boxing? Obviously it probably doesn't help it, but it's like, as long as you're keeping yourself active and thinking and like learning things that you're interested in or trying new things, I think you're keeping your brain active, you're exercising your brain.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably how to do it, but as I'm no doctor, so like
Neither are we, but that sounds good enough.
Yeah, listen, I'll take that because I'm not a doctor, which may shock. You're talking about your preparation and generally speaking, you coming in prepared to every fight. Do you find it comfortable? Do you find it hard to find comfort in your preparation in the sense that do you ever feel like, oh, maybe I should have done that a little bit more, or I could have trained a little bit harder this day or that day? Like, does any of that sort of wash over you? Like, just because when we ran a marathon, I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I heard it, don't you worry.
Yeah, we ran it.
Yeah.
And like, I wasn't super happy with my preparation, obviously, but I was thinking
That's a fucking understatement.
But I'm like, but I was reflecting, being like,
getting injections a week before the race.
but when would I be? You know, and even if I did follow the program to the letter of the law, would there still be part of me that says, but you could have done a little bit more?
Maybe slight. Well, I mean, it's a question for Harry, but I'm just, as it pertains to you and I in our marathon, I think anything more than what we did was probably going to be better.
Of course it was, but I'm saying, is there a level? Can you overtrain?
Yeah, I think you 100% can. When I was younger, like, well, not that I'm that old, I'm only 25, but when you're young, you can train as much as you want. You recover, no dramas. You wake up the next day, you don't even feel your muscles ache. And when you start getting a little bit more muscle, you start growing a little bit older. You know what it's like. Your body.
What are you fucking talking about, mate?
You get 32 and you can't even get out of the car without pulling your
I
back.
played 2020 cricket yesterday, and I feel like I've been deadlifting for 6 hours. Like, I'm completely fucked.
Yeah, so you understand
I
completely.
just didn't appreciate when you get older, I'm like, this motherfucker right in front of my
Yeah, I
face.
know. Yeah, listen.
Yeah,
It's
so
not wrong.
I think there is like a level of overtraining, but yeah, I think there's like an element of like athletes are always on the scale of like under-preparing and overtraining, like that sickness. It's just like you're always sort of walking the seesaw of like feeling like you're not doing enough, feeling a bit guilty, and then also overtraining. So it's just trying to find that balance. And I think that comes through time and experience and knowing your body really well. And like I know my body extremely well. So it's like knowing that I can push myself, and even when those voices come up, like, you mean, oh, maybe have the today off, like, they're just voices because you doesn't want you to be a weak. You know, you're just being a bit weak. So push through that, you'll be fine.
Punters and Dribblers podcast is always brought to you by the #1 betting app on planet Earth, and that is our good friends at Neds. They support us in the daytime, in the nighttime, in the mornings, in the evenings, at dawn, at dusk.
You're absolutely right, Tom. Ned's is there at dawn and it's there at dusk.
Yep.
Reliable, dependable, stupendous.
That's right. Coming back into footy season, I am so toey to get back into my same game multis.
SGMs, Tom?
SGMs just around the corner. First try scorers, last try scorers, et al.
Overs, unders, totals.
About even returning just around the corner.
Oh, it's close now, baby.
Big season on the horizon.
Oh, it's close, baby. Biggest season ever, Tom.
Biggest season ever, and that's all thanks to our good friends at Neds. Now, obviously, punters and dribblers, gambling can be an issue, and there are ways to best help yourself with gambling. And obviously that's to be responsible when you do it. But there's a number that you can call if you are struggling, and we encourage you to do so. And that number is, Edward.
1-800-858-858.
Now, we had you for a brief 15-minute window on the podcast. So this is a recurring guest, you could say. But
Wasn't long.
It wasn't long. And
Wasn't long enough.
It was, I don't know who you were fighting, but it was before a gallon card and we're at Fox. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course.
And we came away from that being like, we need to fucking talk to this cunt more. Like, you were, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. We've said it to everyone at Fox as well. We're like, and we're up George Rose's ass of No Limit fame, trying to get you back on because you, in that small period of time, like, you're an interesting guy and you've also got an interesting story. But I guess because we didn't have much time to get into the nuts and bolts of it, and it's not a This Is Your Life show. But I would like to, I was interested to know more about like where you grew up, your upbringing a little bit, because I do find that interesting in the way that like it shapes people with your sort of mindset and I guess successful athletes.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like I definitely didn't have a negative upbringing. I youngest of 3 boys, grew up in a place about an hour from the city in Melbourne, place called Lilydale, and a lot of space out there. End of the train line, very working class, and being the youngest of 3 boys, and my brothers being quite like masculine and manly and playing out the back with dad and digging holes and rubbing their faces in dirt, and me sort of not wanting to do that at all. And just
Man shit.
Yeah. Digging holes.
Digging holes.
Yeah.
Rubbing your face in mud.
Yeah, absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Like a holiday,
wanting
no?
a bar of it. So I was more in touch with my mum's energy. So for me, under the age of about 6, 7, 8, I was they never once said anything, but I just felt I didn't get much respect from my dad or my 2 brothers because I was just a little bit different. Was a bit of a mama's boy, bit of a sook. And I think that's initially why I started boxing, was to sort of gain respect, as they were always fighting with each other, fighting at school, fighting at, that was just like what they did. And in that area, it was very masculine, and everyone was down at the pub and a couple of beers and old mate chins, old mate. That's just what it was. And Dad grew up in England, and he often spoke about how many fights he had when he was younger, and sort of that badge of honour.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? So like for me, and then not feeling real fearful of that, I think I started boxing after watching a lot of Rocky films and everyone loving them, and I was just like, oh, this is what men do. I've got to do this.
Isn't it interesting, like, that you didn't even like doing it, but it's like that desire to have your old man fucking respect you, so you go out there and put yourself into the thing that you least want to do.
It's so interesting, and I never realised this for most of my life, but I definitely realised recently that that's all I'm doing, is I'm just trying to do. It happens being the youngest child. This is getting deep, guys, but like when you think about an environment, right? So you get born into an environment. I'm the youngest. My brother is 5 years older than me. My other one's 3. So 3 kids, 3 boys under the age of 5. A lot of testosterone from the 2 oldest ones. Doing a lot of chaos. Dad's at work doing his own thing. He's a roof tiler. Mum's looking after the boys. It's just chaos. You know what I mean? So the youngest child, as a safety, and because it's so vulnerable and it needs its mum's attention and its dad's attention, it will do anything. So I think for me, I'm just trying to do these amazing things. I remember like lighting the curtain on fire.
Oh shit!
You know what I mean? And although mum and dad weren't happy, still got their attention, so I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I'm thinking how good. But I was like quite young. I don't actually remember it, but my parents told me about the story, and I think about like, is that me? Obviously, maybe just being a curious fucking kid, or is that me trying to search for their attention in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, the subconscious mind.
And I think I'm doing that right now. You know what I mean? Just trying to do amazing things, trying to search for their attention, and many other people's attention. Bit of an attention seeker.
How does your old man, given he's a bit of a hard bastard, how does he feel? Like, do you speak to him? I saw an Instagram video you did, and it got me very emotional. I am a father of 2, and I cry at the drop of a hat now. But you did this thing where you like read this letter to your old man. It was like really honest and like just about how much you loved him, basically. And you can see him sitting there and starting to well up, and I'm going, oh fuck. And then you start to well up, and I'm like, oh my God. But I guess for a man like him, from the way you describe him, that would be like almost mind blowing, being like, how the fuck did I like create this kid who's like seemingly like quite different in approach? Did he like? Do you have conversations with him about that sort of stuff? How was the aftermath of that thing that you did with him?
Yeah, it's me and my dad. I never once saw him cry up until the age of 16, and you know, actually I'll start from the start. So probably from the age of 12 and before, everything my dad said, I just wanted to be my dad. And he's a superhero. I believed everything he said. I think he was a buddy 5-sport world champion. You know, I mean, he told me all these bullshit stories, but I believed him. I loved him, and I still do. And my dad's a really good man. He taught me many, many amazing traits, and but just very old-fashioned, very sort of set in his ways and stuck in his ways. Doesn't do a lot of internal work or self-growth, but he's a beautiful man. But up until the age of probably 12 to 16, 17, it's like I started to form my own identity. You mean I started to like start challenging him. You know, before that, everything he said I believed, and I started to believe him. Then 12 onwards, I start questioning him, saying, "Hey, that's not right. I mean, you can't say that. You can't." And he's like,
"No way you played in the NBA."
And he's like, so for about 5, probably longer, maybe 8 years, just started challenging him, constantly. And we actually had a bit of a fickle relationship for a period of time. I just sort of mirrored to him all the things I didn't like inside myself because I'm very similar to him and I saw it inside of him. He's an addict. He's just got many traits. He's very passionate and sort of talks with an air of arrogance like he knows. I often do that sometimes. We often argued, and then probably from the age of 19 onwards, we've just really formed a better relationship. There was many things. I actually wrote him a letter when I was about 19, 20. And then, we just slowly but surely started to cultivate and build a better relationship. And now, like, reading that letter to him on my Instagram, like, to share that moment with him and to share, like, a lot of my successes with him and just to, like, he's my best mate. Like, I'm so grateful that we have the best relationship now.
And it was all off the back of that letter you wrote when you were 19. You think that was the catalyst for, like, the modern relationship you've got now?
I think so. We never once, like, it wasn't like we had a really, like, tumultuous relationship. I found myself at times not wanting to come home because I just knew he'd be on the piss and he'd never, like, be abusive or anything like that, but we'd often argue because I'm passionate and he's passionate. And then I'm from the left, he's from the right, and we're just going, it's interesting though, this is what happened. It's so interesting that this happened. I'm probably more left wing when I would be in home. Yep. And then I'd go outside of home to school and I'd be right wing. I'd be start using all of his arguments against the teachers at school. It's like I just wanted to argue with people. I just wanted to debate people. It was an interesting upbringing, but since 19, sorry, there's another alarm.
What's that one for?
This is the build myself up. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do this real quickly.
Do it.
This one's a big one.
No, that's all right.
Sorry, boys.
Dude, don't apologize.
Discipline.
That was cool.
Discipline.
That was cool.
Love it.
The look on your face was like, can we keep that in?
Yeah, 100%.
Fuck yeah, dude. That was mad.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the fuck's he saying?
That's what I was
but I'm going,
I was thinking.
Dude, I wish I could just like, I want to say it to me.
I wish I had a bigger dick.
No, you do. You do.
No. Dude, I saw you in a zoot suit, guys. I saw you in a zoot suit that you put up on the gram there. I'm like, now they must have all been hogged up photos. Congratulations. I hope you did say that to yourself.
You are hung.
Yeah, you are. Dude, that thing looks big on the flop. Don't worry about that. Anyway, where were we?
Arguing.
Yeah, relationship with dad. So, 19, 20, around that time, wrote him a letter and just said, missed my dad and let's go get coffee. It was just before his birthday. And we went and got coffee and spoke about things that we just hadn't really spoke about for a few years. And like we realized that we're sort of arguing or like not getting along for different reasons. And it's just because we weren't talking properly. So, but since then, like he's my best mate. I love him. Really grateful that my parents growing up argued heaps. And I was like, often thought, they're not staying together. No chance. But now they've like cultivated this beautiful relationship. They probably love each other more now than what they did when I was younger. And it's like amazing to see that. Parents stick fat with each other and like stand by each other even through like the depths of hell. And they've been through a lot, obviously, just like any partnership. So pretty grateful that they're two of my best role models.
Definitely.
What do you take from both of them in a lead up to a fight? Do they play a specific role at all? Like, do you lean on them for advice or sort of, do you talk to your dad about certain things in lead up to a fight, or are they sort of quite separate from your boxing career?
Oh, definitely pretty separate. Old boy likes to think he can fight, but I told him about the age of 14. Every dad thinks they can fight.
Yeah.
I told him at the age of 14, I said, mate, I've got one coach and it's not you. So, but yeah, he likes to think he can throw down. So probably for me, it's just more like, it's more the stuff outside of sport because it's like you don't want that stuff impacting your performance or preparation. So it's like as long as you're letting go of the other stuff outside of sport through my parents or through mates, like that's how I feel well prepared for a fight.
Back to, still on the sort of upbringing, this was a thing that you told us when we spoke last time, that your mum is or was a clairvoyant. Still is?
Yeah, so she's a medium. She talks to dead people. Bit going on there.
Plenty. And that was, mate, when you dropped that on us in the fucking Fox thing, I was like, 15 minutes with this guy? How the fuck we meant to get there?
Well, it can't be done.
It can't be done.
But it can be done now.
It can be done now.
If you'd like to.
Yeah.
If
So
we can
like,
go
how
there.
is it since you were young? Like from always? Like, is that her job?
Yeah, so mum smoked a few Hong Kongs in her time, I reckon. But
Been there. This man has. This man's still there. He's still in Hong Kong right now.
Yeah, you can tell.
Haven't
Have a look at
any
him.
dead people yet. Maybe that is
but yeah, growing up, it sort of evolved. So for me, she's always had a job, but yeah, it's been her like little side passion. She's really enjoyed it. She says she's always, it sounds a bit like kooky, but she said she always had a connection to the spirit world. And growing up, always had tarot cards, crystals. Used to do all the stuff that modern females are doing now, or some modern people, not just females.
Well, we do it when we're trying to pick the results in rugby league.
Charge the crystals.
Bit of gambling if you want Manly to win.
Well, or the
Charge-
website crashes. I'm like, throw me a crystal. Like, I need to.
In the middle of a fucking merch sale, quick, get the crystals
Get the
out.
crystals out.
Someone fix the website.
Give me a crystal. And to the crystal's credit, as soon as I held it, went back up.
Yeah, so
love that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's something there.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, she's always been sort of interested in that, and she now like does it pretty full on. Like she does it most weekends and does private readings during the week and stuff like that. And I've been to a few just to help my mum out with like working on the door or something like that. But I personally don't know if I fully believe it, but I also know I'm conflicted because my mum's not a liar, and I know that. So it's like, maybe there is something there. Maybe mum's full of shit. Who knows? But I know she's not a liar. She believes it, and I think that's all that matters.
Absolutely. It's an interesting one. I'm similar where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. I have family members who have been to speak to people who have they've lost loved ones and have gone to speak to people. And some of the shit that gets thrown up, I'm like, well, listen, I don't know how the fuck they would know that. Like, it's not one of those ones where it's like, because we were actually talking horoscopes on the podcast the other day, and how you read someone like the horoscope and it's like, you need more sleep. It's like, well, that's nice and vague. So you're probably going to hit a few people there. But there's some real specific stuff that you hear back from some of these things where you're like, Jesus Christ.
Almost too specific. But then you say to yourself, but I wasn't in the room, so I don't know how that was led up. What information did you hand over?
But does your mum know that you're like, that you don't necessarily know if you believe it? How is she like, does she get up your ass about that? She's like, oi, brah, speaking of dead people.
The whole family used to sort of, I wouldn't say bully her, but like we used to take the piss out of her a fair bit. But yeah, she loves it. So my mum's like probably the most secure and just like confident one out of a lot of us. She's she's got the big dick in the family by far. She's the top of the roost. So for her, I don't think she really cared that everyone else was sort of just like not believing it. But yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff to see some of the stuff, like the specific details they get about like tattoos and watches and how they die, where they died, and just like weird stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, there's a little bit of luck to it, I think, but it's like specific details is actually a hard thing to get. So there's something to it.
Do you sit her down and ask her like what it is that she's feeling or hearing? Like, what is the experience that she is going through when she is communicating with someone or something or the other side or whatever it is? Like,
yeah, so she explains it that she will stand up and she will just like close her eyes or sort of be in the spirit world, and she will feel like she's the spirit that's trying to come through. So it's like she will feel like there's like she's something on her. It's like there's a watch, or she will feel like there's tension in my neck. So maybe they died of suffocation or something like a loss of breath or just stuff like that. Real like sort of she feels it in her body, positive or negative, and then she like explains that. Is there anyone in the room that feels this? And then it's all weird stuff.
Was she experiencing that before she knew what was going on necessarily? Like pre-medium, was there a moment where she had no idea what was the experiences she was having?
Yeah, at a young, if I remember correctly, I can't remember if it was her or a friend. This memory's pretty puzzled, but I think she actually got taken to like a psychiatrist or something like that, and they pretty much diagnosed her with schizophrenia because it's back in their generation, having voices in your head, big no.
Yeah.
But it's
fuck,
like,
even now they'd be going, look, we'll get you checked out. We'll have a look at it.
Yeah. So it's and my mum is like completely. She believes it. Like, she believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is like, completely. She believes it. And my mum is she's a pretty sound human. Yeah, but like for her, she always had this little weird connection to. It's almost like when you're a kid, though. I remember having imaginary friends and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you'd have a tea party by yourself, and I'm eating. Yeah,
I had a couple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two. Someone pop it. Something Billy and Pop.
But I was saying this the other day, where it was like there's something about the things that you learn as a child. Like I feel like it's when you learn about time, like when you understand time, and then like sort of numbers and how they make sense. It's like it just gives you a view of the world where things are possible and aren't possible, and it's like you can no longer go into a hedge for 6 hours and play trolls. Like you're not a troll, and trolls don't exist. And you're like, there's like a free.
You're not playing for 6 hours. You're just playing.
Yeah, but there's a freedom in your mind that just gets like shut down or like snuffed out or whatever, and it's like you lose whatever maybe touch there is to that world if it does exist.
That's what I think. I feel like we're taught out of like listening to our gut, our intuition, and this is getting spiritual, but I genuinely believe that on an energetic level, there's something else out there. Like there's something that humans like to think that we're the smartest creatures, we're that superior to any other animal, but it's like, I think that there's something else energetically that we can never enter. You mean the other animals might have some sort of frequency to it, but we will never be able to enter it.
Yeah.
It's like that probably animal instinct that I feel prior to a fight. I've exercised it a fair bit. You mean a lot's coming up. You can almost see the bead of sweat dripping from somewhere because it's like you're so locked in and
so you're like hyper aware.
Oh, hyper vigilant, hyper aware. Yeah. Everything you're so present in that moment. And I think other animals, because they're in a state of survival, a state of fight or flight, not a state of comfort like we are in the Western world, and not listening to our gut. They have to listen to their gut to survive. You mean a lion's in the jungle and the predators. You know what I mean? Like they have to do that to survive.
That reminds me of, and just in terms of the like hyper awareness. And I remember feeling that when I had mushrooms, and I was in nature, and you're like. I am now looking at this like patch of grass or in the bush, and it's like I can see every single fucking blade of grass and little bug and everything going around there. Whereas like 15 minutes ago, I didn't know what the fuck I was.
I've got a sense that like I think that's how the animal kingdom sees everything. We've dulled our senses.
Yeah,
you know. Because we're so sedentary now.
Well,
we just like sit around.
I don't need to kill for my food. We order it from an app.
Exactly, and it arrives to me. Like you don't need to be sharp between the ears. Although you can listen to your gut in like the business world sometimes, where it can be spot on.
Just even in the business world, even just like I guess trying to evaluate a person sometimes. You know, you just can get a vibe where you're like
a vibe. Yeah, exactly. Interesting.
I tell you what, I genuinely imagine if I don't know if every human should do it, but like. If the politicians like just had a mushy trip, you know what I mean? Just like, how dare you tell me that that's illegal?
I know, man.
You're so happy, you're connected to nature. The last thing I want to do is do something stupid on mushrooms. I want to hug everyone. I want to suck everyone off. You know what I mean?
And also, like after mushrooms, I almost feel like I come back clearer than
cleansed.
Like you feel like you're able to like mental inventory. You know, like go through the shit that you it makes you confront things that maybe you're like lacking, like, you know, things that you need to address. Relationships you need to address, things in your life you need to do better, or things you're doing well, things to be grateful for. Like, I just can't. First time I had a proper go of mushies in like nature, not just in like a backyard of a house party where it is a little overwhelming. Like, I was like, oh my God, dude, this is the greatest fucking mental enhancer I've ever had.
It's like a deep mental cleanse.
Yeah, someone comes in with a broom and a gurney and just cleans out the fucking
mind. but not too high pressure. Like it's a nice.
No, it's a nice one, but it's just getting off the surface level gunk and grime.
That's right, Tom.
An easy off bam for the brain.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Wow.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is mushrooms.
me and my now ex-partner, we on New Year's Eve just gone. We were on the mushies and everyone else is on drinking and other stuff and we weren't on. We were sober. I mean,
nice.
And like we just noticed when we were in the house party that we're at, we didn't want to be there. We're on a different frequency.
Completely.
Yeah,
completely different.
And we're just like not that we judged them in any way, shape or form, but we just wanted to walk, be in the ocean, and we're just like, we had our own little vibe. And by 12:30, we were tired and went to sleep. You know, it was just perfect, and we felt so connected to like everything. And that's what we found though. We found that because Christmas lights were still up. It's like we were so. You think you would love Christmas lights?
Yeah.
Hated them.
Oh,
Is that
really?
right?
Hated them, but loved the nature. Loved the tree.
Oh, yeah,
Trees.
You know,
nature
the
do.
nature, but it's like a Christmas light because it's human made. We don't
Yeah,
like it.
that's
Cars.
true. Yeah.
It's like cars come past, like, oh,
It's all very intense. Yeah. Oh, Jesus
Get away
Christ.
from me.
I need
Get
to
away
look
from
at it.
Machine.
Yeah,
Twitch
it's
trees.
machine.
Trees are just breathing and like.
Yeah, they do breathe as well. That's you want to see like lungs in action. When
Oh no, you can see them breathing.
You
Like,
can see
you're
them
like, oh,
breathing.
you can see that they're alive,
Yeah.
doing their damn thing.
They're getting
you
into
know?
their work.
Oh fuck yeah, mate! Getting into their work in a big way.
Dude, we should do a mushy podcast. That'd go well.
Yeah, but we'd have to be mic'd up, just walking.
Yeah,
around.
in the bush. Dude, we should do that.
Walking around in the bush.
Hey, if
we
you
couldn't
ever-
be in here. We get
You're in
2K.
between camps. Let's go.
Beautiful. Good to know.
That's fucking funny. So, when did you start getting to that like Australian representative Commonwealth Games sort of thing? How old were you when you were doing that?
So I won my first national title after failing 4 times when I was 18 in 2015.
So is that failing 4 times in 15, 16, 17, 18? You failed all those and then...
Yeah. So I went to 4 national titles and actually lost in my first fight of each championship.
Oh,
Yeah, it
how
was-
many fights are in them?
But it's different every time, but potentially 2 or 3. But it's like tennis, you lose, you're out. So it's like the draw. You could draw the best guy, could draw the worst guy. But yeah, I lost in the first fight of all 4, and I never forget the first one I won. I won't say names, but there was a dad who said there was 4 people in my weight, so 2 fights for gold. And this is go to the Youth Commonwealth Games. 18 years old, never had any success, had a great preparation, and I'll never forget someone come up to me and said, someone from New South Wales. His dad said, I hope we draw Harry Garside first because he's the worst in the division. He's the easiest in the division. And I drew his son first.
Wait, he came and said it to you?
No, someone like heard it.
Oh,
Overheard him
right,
say.
Overheard it. And then he come to me and someone told me. And I drew his son first up coincidentally, and I beat him. And I just remember walking out of the ring. I'm pretty spiteful. I always remember stuff like that.
Yeah.
Never forget. And I just walked in. I didn't say anything, but I just looked at him and just had that look.
Yeah,
Such a big flex. I loved it. I loved it.
Satisfaction through the roof.
Yeah. So that was 2015 when I was 18, and then went to the Youth Commonwealth Games, and then turned senior the year later, and then was in the elites and tried for Rio, failed, and then obviously Comm Games 2018, and then Olympics.
How do you come back, and it's not come back, I guess, but from 4 losses or 4 failures, as you put it, for national titles? Like, are you plagued with doubt? Are you like, fuck, maybe I don't have it? Do coaches have an obligation to be like, maybe the same for you, dude?
Yeah, there is an element of that. I actually, and no one knew this besides maybe 1 or 2 people, but I gave myself an ultimatum prior to the first national win. So I'm 18 years old, and I said, because I started listening to people and like my parents, like, oh, just get a job. I'm about to finish school, and all I wanted to do was be a boxer. That's all I wanted to do. And I gave myself an ultimatum. I said, I'm in year 12. I'm just at school so I can box, because I knew once you work, it's a lot harder to manage both. And I said, if I don't succeed in this nationals, I'm gonna walk away. I've got to think about. I love boxing. I'll always do it, but doing it competitively, I might just focus on career outside of boxing. And I gave myself an ultimatum. I said, give everything you've got for 12 weeks. 12 weeks, eat properly, sleep properly, do everything right. Don't go out with your mates eating bad food. Don't get on the piss. And I did everything I possibly could to be ready for that tournament, and I showed up well prepared and obviously took it out. And it was like, it's so amazing what you do when you're sort of in desperate need. Like, it was the last roll of the dice, and your back's against the wall, and obviously managed to take it out. And I'm so grateful I did, because obviously the rest of my life wouldn't have happened either.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Like, I've often given myself ultimatums in my life, and when I have, I've done amazing things.
Yeah, right. Where does it sit for you, that win in your career? Like, in terms of, I guess now what you're saying, like everything that was actually on the line for it.
Yeah, obviously, because it was a turning point. That and the Commonwealth Games were by far my favourites. Yeah, by far.
And so how'd you go in the Comm Games? You win it?
Yeah.
You won the whole thing. Again, that sounds like we don't know. We try not to do much
Love that.
research, just roll in and shoot the shit. But so you went, so how long ago was the Comm Games?
2018 in Gold Coast, and I was 20 years old. So it was, just for me being on home soil, like the first thing I did was run to the boys from Lurdale, pouring beer over my head on TV. I'm like, come on, boys. I run to my family, giving them a big cuddle. Like, just 20 years old, just very young. And
who'd you beat? How'd you win?
So I had 5 fights, and I beat Manash Kaushik from India in the final. Big, close fight, really close fight. We fight very similar, and I got him on a split decision.
Shit.
Very close.
Is that must be so nerve-wracking when it's coming down to that decision. You're standing there and like your dreams are on the line, and it's just.
And they say split decision, and then there's like a little 5-second pause, and it feels like a lifetime. Yeah. Like, oh my god.
Did you think you'd done enough?
I did, just more so as a fighter. You always have an inkling, but I did know it was close. Yeah. I did know, and if it went the other way, I couldn't have been disappointed.
Are you scoring in your head?
It's more of a feeling. I think as fighters, when you shake each other's hands right at the end, as fighters, you know if that person got over you. You know. And it's like whether the score showcases that, you know if that person beat you.
Right.
That's it.
Have you ever had any of those where you've been like, I probably didn't win that?
Maybe. Yeah. No, I probably would have. I'd have to think back in my career, maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's definitely has been other times where I thought I had won it as well. So it's just like it evens itself out over your career. But amateur boxing is really difficult because it's 3 rounds. It's really hard to determine a fight in 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Fast paced, 3 rounds, a lot happening. It's very hard to see at that level someone really outclass someone.
Unless you knock someone out. It's
yeah. At the Olympics, the semi-final, I probably got outclassed. That was like but that's a bit of an anomaly.
Yeah,
he was just like too good for me to punch the shit out of me. But that's boxing.
Yeah.
You just meet someone who's better than you, and you can't do anything.
And so, but did you medal at the Olympics, or did you?
Yeah, bronze.
Bronze,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I thought, for some reason, I thought silver. Again, it's like I've never heard of you the way I'm talking questions. That is an incredible achievement in and of itself. Obviously, you want to win, but like a bronze medal at the Olympics is fucking wild.
Yeah, it's something that I've toyed with. Obviously, the athlete mindset is like, if it's not gold, like, get out of here. You mean it's a failure. So it was something I toiled with, and Australia on the global stage isn't like a massive big dick swinger. I mean, in amateur boxing and professional boxing, it's not like we're America or Cuba or Eastern Europe countries. Like, they're very strong and have many good fighters. But Australia is like the land of the underdogs in most sports, aren't we? And just to do that on, my first debut Olympics, something that I've strived for since I was 7 years old. Was an amazing feeling. Obviously, still felt it was a failure because it's not the goal, but at the same time, very proud of myself because there was many things that were stacked up against me, just like any athlete in a preparation, and just to still show up and perform at your best is a good feeling.
Do you like being an Olympian? Like, do you see other Olympians and like wink at each other? And
have you got the rings tattooed?
Nah.
Are you gonna get it?
I said I would get them if I wanted gold. Okay. Yeah, for me, it's a failure. So it's like I got Commonwealth Games.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Do you use that? Do you use that failure, as you put it, as motivation in your professional career? I know Floyd Mayweather used his own, albeit a little bit different because he was robbed, but his bronze sort of drove his undefeated career. Yeah,
him, Roy Jones Jr. He also got robbed in the Seoul Olympics. Yeah, got silver. Yeah, for sure. I think any setback, and I think that's something that we potentially, I know it's pretty present in boxing, but that mindset, Floyd Mayweather mindset of no losses, like, I think in life, like, losing is like so valuable. As long as it depends what you do after wins and losses that determine exactly who you are. But like when you lose, when you're down, when you're out, when you're feeling like you're not good enough, and to get back up, to build resilience, to get back up and dust yourself off and go again, like, that is the marks of a champion. Regardless if you succeed again, it's like just getting back up and having a crack. You're not staying down and going, oh, I'm a victim. Poor me. Why has this always happened to me? It's like, no, like, get up. You make the decision if you want to try again, and make sure you get the decision next time. If you don't get the decision you want, try again, or go to a different venture or try something else. Like, it's always our choice.
How long did it take for you to appreciate the bronze, like, and what it was, or was it like, it's still like a failure?
I've definitely, I appreciate it. I don't say that often because I'm still caught in the mindset of like, always, if it's not the best, you can do better, and I do believe that for sure. But at the same time, I wasn't expected. There was probably 5, sorry, Justice when he pulled out. So there's 5 athletes from Australia. Out of the 5 athletes, I was probably 4th best. Fourth best in a sense to everyone else. Everyone else thought everyone else was Paulo Acuso, really good. Everyone
Yeah.
thought he was a big chance to win a medal. The girls, Caitlin Parker and Sky Nicholson. Sky made it to the quarterfinals. They were like massive chances to medal, the girls. And I was sort of just flying under the radar, more so just another number. You mean?
Yeah.
And to bring home a medal, I'm proud of myself for that.
Yeah.
Because no one else actually expected me to. And I believe in myself, like we all do. Like I wouldn't show up every day if I didn't believe in myself. But to do that, I'm proud of myself for that.
It's funny as well with the Olympics, right? Like I remember when the missile, James Magnuson, who came in, and when he like didn't win gold, and he was
by
like,
0.01.
Yeah, but then and he was heaps devo, and then I think like a lot of us people in Australia were like, in the spirit of the Olympics, it's like first, second, third, you should be fucking stoked. That was the general conversation. Like obviously Missile, you know, he was the world champion and he was talking heaps of shit and he didn't get there, and like, but it's from especially with a fighter, I can imagine how difficult that would be. Going like, yay, I just fucking lost and got a bronze. Like it would be a hard.
It's also the nature of boxing, because you got to lose the semi to make the bronze medal players. Like there's a loss on the way to a win, sort of thing, you know, as opposed to a sprint where you just didn't win.
Yes, you just lost to Usain Bolt.
Floyd Mayweather says that he's like, you don't win a bronze medal, you receive a bronze medal.
Yes.
Yeah.
You lose. You're a loser. And I 100% agree with that. And it was so interesting because everyone was like, what was it like having the medal put over your neck? And what was it like seeing the flag next to other countries being raised? And I was like, to be completely honest, from the moment I lost, I didn't feel a thing. I went numb for about 2 months. I just
Really
was just like, wow, that was weird. You know what I mean? I can't even really remember those 2 months.
What year was it? It wasn't Tokyo. Was it last year?
2021, yeah.
Yeah, it was the 2020 games in 2021.
Yeah. So
Did we have an Olympics last year?
at Commonwealth Games?
2021 we had.
Fuck me, the world's just moving quick. So last year was not the replay of Tokyo.
It's Commonwealth Games.
No, Tokyo, which was supposed to be 20, was in 2021.
Because it's 2023 now.
2023.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
So the Olympics was like 18 months ago?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm all at sea.
You are all at sea, buddy.
What was it like? What was the Olympic Village like? The no fuck beds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was.
Did you test them out?
It was unbelievable. I was in competition the whole time, and also had a missus at the time. So,
There you go.
Okay.
yeah.
Good answer.
The final answer, the final thing's had a missus. All those things you said before are a complete horseshit. I'm in competition.
But yeah, it was like for me. The reality is like I still feel like just a little boy who I used to like stay up all hours of the night watching the Olympics and Commonwealth Games. I mean, I love moments like 2005, John Aloisi, I know that wasn't the Olympics, but
but
Mark
Australian
Schwartz,
moments.
Australia,
Yeah,
2004, Grant Hackett winning the 1500 metre final, Steve Hooker, Matthew Mitchell in 2008. Just like moments like that really formed my childhood, and to get there and be surrounded by someone like a Kate Campbell, Patty Mills, Jess Fox, these are some of my idols. And because of COVID, we couldn't really go out and socialise, go to other sports. So we were like locked in the Australian headquarters. And because of that, the Australian culture was like unbelievable. You mean like everyone was sort of getting along with each other and, supporting each other when other people were competing. And it was just like an amazing experience.
What was the dynamic like in the sense that you have Big Dog City and Paddy Mills and then Relative Unknown and Harry Garside? Like, was there any big dick swinging, or was it like everyone was completely cool? Like, was it easy to just go up and have a yarn with people?
Yeah, so there is a couple of like proper like big time status. Paddy Mills isn't like that because he's not saying the other athletes aren't like that, but Paddy Mills stayed with the basketball team. They're very much like team orientated.
Yep.
He was flag bearer as well, but there was like people like Kevin Durant or Ash Barty, I think she stayed off campus because it's just like for someone like that, she's a world #1 tennis player. Like everyone will be mobbing her before competition, and it would be hard. It would be so challenging. So, but it was the swimming team probably sticks to themselves just because they're so big and that they're probably the most important in a sense. Like they're the ones
they get the most money. That's for sure.
by far. So they're the ones who probably stick to themselves, but everyone else sort of gets along pretty well.
Is there a little bit like us against the swimmers mentality? You know, like does that bring?
Do the swimmers get high on their own supply?
Yeah. And is there sort of like a judging eye?
from the
about their
non-shirts
need
being
to
like,
get higher
we
than
get
own
it.
supply.
You guys are all fucking jacked and 6 foot.
Yeah.
There's something there, but I must admit I grew up having that philosophy. When I first went on my first international trip on a national team, I had that belief. But then I've actually become mates with some of the swimmers, and I've full changed my mindset on them. But I definitely did have that mindset of like, oh, they're just arrogant, chip on my shoulder. I had the mindset of like private school people, most of them, and yeah, but I've full changed my mindset on that because it's just like a lot of them are just like they're locked in a team and they're a team inside the team. There's like 70 athletes.
Yeah.
Of course they're just going to stick to themselves. Like, but when you actually talk to them one-on-one, like they're genuine. They're real nice, just like most Aussies.
Last time we talked, I think, if my memory serves, you were talking about the benefits of like a no nut before competition approach. Are you
Jizz-free operator.
Jizz-free. Are you still a big believer in jizz-free before a fight?
So for me, I know there actually is scientific. Oh, don't quote me on this, but I actually think there is some studies done that it increases for 2 weeks. Like, so if you do 2 weeks,
David?
Yeah, there's something to it.
2 weeks out.
So 2 weeks out, I've heard that. But it's more so the reason why I did it was like prior to the Olympics, I'm a type of person, I'm very impulsive. Very impulsive. I like running at things and just like to say you're not going to do something and then every day you don't do it. And then to say you're also going to do things like meditate every day, read a chapter of a book every day, do my alarms, say things in the mirror. There were certain things that I had to do every single day. So when I didn't do something and when I did do something, mate, I felt like so superior within myself. Did that for 2 months. Didn't ejaculate for 2 months prior to the Olympics. It was a long time.
Ejaculate, such a proper word. Blow loads.
Yeah.
Blow loads in
Mate, should have seen the first one. Oh my God.
Oh my
It was like a fire hydrant.
Jesus. It would have been biblical.
Yeah, dude. They should actually get him to put out like house fires and shit. Like, where's Harry?
Yeah.
You imagine I'd have nutted for a couple of weeks on a building. Flame retardant loads. Anyway.
Jesus Christ. Would a wet dream, would that count?
Mate,
Would you have to reset?
I've never had a wet
Neither,
dream.
dude.
I'm heartbroken. Apparently it's better.
Yeah,
it's
look,
almost
I
like you don't have to
mean,
put in the work.
I've definitely had sex in my dreams, but I've never woken up to the sort of the uncomfortable reality that I've blown a load in the old silk undies.
Blowing a load in the silks.
Have you had it?
Not for many years. Not for.
But you have.
Yeah, when I
What's
was
it
younger.
feel like when you wake up?
It feels like you're covered in nut. That's just like it is what it is,
Yeah,
right?
that's I can
like
imagine
it's
that's
sort
how it
of
feels.
it, but it's the minds are fucking crazy. Well, it's
the mind.
it's crazy that the mind can bring you to completion in the dream.
Yeah, without any touching.
But it's like it feels like it's happening, but it's not.
So you would argue that if there was a way, if you were tapped in enough, that you could just sort of think your way to an orgasm.
Okay. That's true. Maybe that's next.
Yeah, maybe.
So anyway, you don't blow loads pre-fight.
Yeah, so I definitely have gone into fights post Olympics where I have,
Yeah.
and it's been fine. Like it's more like I think as an athlete, probably now I've turned professional. Every fight has to be. But like when the amateurs, it's like you're not at 100% in every tournament because it's like you can't actually be at 100% all the time. So you have to vary. In some tournaments, you take the preparation less serious. Some tournaments you take it fully serious because it's like World Championships, Olympics, Commonwealth Games. But in the professionals, every fight is you have four, maybe 5 fights a year. Every fight is boom, 100%. So yeah, like there's been many fights that I've like been fine and ejaculated the day before or the day of just for relaxation.
Mid-fight.
Yeah, mid-fight.
Big fight. Yeah, on the stool. In between rounds. Are you loving professional boxing? Like you spent so long as an amateur. Do you like, what professional boxing brings?
It's been a question I've asked myself a lot. I think for me, the thing that I'm not liking is that I'm not fully latched to a purpose. Like I don't mind the aspect, the showiness of it. I don't mind the longer rounds. That's exciting. Just to showcase your ability over more than 3 rounds, which is exciting, and just the whole build up. I don't mind that sort of thing. But I think for me, my Olympic purpose was like built when I was 7 years old, before I even knew. But I can look back to a point and I was locked in, and from that point I wanted to be just like the athletes I saw on TV. And And for me, I'm not fully latched to a professional purpose yet. Because it wasn't cultivated when I was younger. So that's probably the only thing that I'm not really enjoying yet.
So your whole thing was get to the Olympics as a kid, being a boxer. That was the goal.
It was, I think, I just love sport. So I just wanted to get to the highest level of sport.
Okay, right.
Whether that be in cricket, whether that be in football. And I wanted to be like an Australian superhero, sport athlete. And then when I started boxing, it was just like, yeah, it's all in for boxing.
Right. And then is it sort of like once you then turn professional, in a sense, you've gone from being at the Olympics, which is the height, professional. Now you're sort of like at the bottom, in the sense that now you're working your way towards a world title, I assume, is what you'd want to do?
Yeah, that's definitely where it is. And as well, like I finished the Olympic Games with the bronze medal and I owe people money. You know what I mean? Like you never get paid. I never once did it for money. And then now, don't get me wrong, we all love money. You know, it's great. But at the same time, there's like a little voice inside of me. I'm a boxing purist. And to get paid for what you're doing, it's like, I don't know, it gives me a weird feeling. It's something that I'm trying to sort of overcome, and it's also getting deep again, but it's like that belief of like, we all have a money story. You mean what we're shown when we're younger, where we believe that we are on the status quo level, and it's like my chip on my shoulder makes me feel like I'm pretty low. So when I receive money, I actually have a weird relationship with it because I'm like, I don't know if I deserve this.
Imposter syndrome.
And it's a weird feeling to get paid for what you do. It's nice, but at the same time, there's like the element of like, I've never once done it for money. Am I a sellout? You know what I mean? I didn't win the gold medal, and now I've turned professional. I'm getting paid. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm battling that inside myself, but that's something that a big goal of mine this year is to latch myself to a purpose in my professional career, and it needs to be bigger than me. You mean I want to become the greatest Australian boxer, so I can inspire more young people to start boxing or to start combat sport.
How do you feel about selling fights? Obviously, that's another sort of large element at times that is involved in professional boxing that probably isn't there as much, or if at all, in amateur boxing. Like, how do you approach selling a fight, and do you enjoy that process?
Down for.
So this one, you'll love this one. It's called touch something. So it's like this is actually a great thing to touch.
Oh, that's good.
So closing your eyes and just really feel like, when do you ever do that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Really just feel
Velvet's a good.
Dude, that's why I got a chance. I hope you're closing your eyes.
I am, yeah. Just have a bit of a
these
rub.
are good.
Yeah, it actually feels good.
Yeah, these are nice. We're also selling some couches over there if you want to touch those whenever you want.
And touch them and take them.
Yeah, take them. You got to take them. We're not just selling the right to touch. We need them out of here. So if you want them.
Soon.
Yeah. Be good couches to touch on mushies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Selling fights.
Selling fight, yeah. So it's something that I feel since turning professional, because of the selling fights aspect of it. It's almost taken the sport out of the sport. It's almost turned into a business where it's like in the amateurs, you never had to worry about any of that. And it was just very competitive in the sense of like, you go in there 3 rounds, you try your hardest to win, white line fever, you're locked in. And then professional boxing is like, it's built up 4 or 5 weeks out. You're doing a lot of media stuff. You're selling the fight. People are filming your training. It's like none of that stuff ever happened. And it's a bit of a distraction almost. And it's like, to be a superior athlete, for me, the way I've always done it, it was just like locked in. Nothing else matters, like that tunnel vision. So just, I'm only 25 and prior to the Olympics, I never knew anything about professional boxing. So like, to be thrown in it, I'm just finding my feet in it. That's all it is, finding my feet.
But so do you feel, when you are on a card and, I think someone like you is often used in the no limit sense, where maybe boxing purists will try and say that like a Gallen fight is delegitimized because he's a former footballer, but then they'll have someone like you on the undercard to legitimize it. Do you feel a responsibility to sell it? Like, is there anything that you try and do, or are you just kind of like, I'm not feeling it? Like, it's not in your, you don't seem like the sort of trash talky guy.
Yeah, I just try and be myself. I very rarely think that I'll ever trash talk in my whole boxing career. Like, it's just not, to be honest, mate, I'm like quite, as I said, from my upbringing, I'm actually quite feminine by nature. You mean, and I love exercising my masculine muscle of getting inside that boxing ring, because it makes me discover a thing inside myself that's always there, but I just exercise it more when I do boxing. So it's nice. But like to be honest, mate, prior to a fight, I believe in my ability. I believe in myself. I don't need to bring up someone else down. Like, I respect anyone, regardless of ability, regardless of age, getting in there and having a crack.
But don't you think there is, from the business side of things, there's a requirement almost? Or if, and I know it's, again, it comes back to that, like, money is, where's the importance side? But if ultimately the goal is to be a champion, not that shit talking is a prerequisite for it, but like it helps in the business side of things, and promoters going, well, let's give, this guy would be good here because he's going to talk shit. Like, do you feel pressure then because it's not how you want to do it? Yeah,
it's interesting. I think I'm always just going to try my best not to do it, in the sense of like to latch myself to my values and my morals. And it's like, my hope is, like, boxing has a lot of fans the way it is, and they love the trash talking. So my hope is to bring new fans. Yeah. To bring the fans for the stuff I do outside of boxing too, to bring people who've never watched boxing before, and hopefully inspire new young people, especially to, as I said, to take up combat sport. That's my aim. And it's like, fingers crossed, I can, just like we all loved Danny Green when we were younger. I remember watching Danny Green and he was an Australian superhero, you know what I mean? Everyone loved him. So I definitely want to sort of walk in a similar direction to that. Obviously every now and then he trash talked, but it was very rare. You don't think of Danny Green as a trash talker.
No, I mean, only when it was in probably relation to Mundine.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that big rivalry. But like, I want to go down that sort of path and just stand true on who I am. And of course, don't get me wrong, I'm confident and I believe in myself and say all that, but I don't need to bring someone else down to.
There is also nothing like more lame than when you see really cultivated shit talk, like where you're just going, well, this is the only you're only doing this to sell a fighter. It gets very uncomfortable. You're like, ugh, this sounds shit.
It can be a bit transparent. You're like, mate, this isn't, it's not off the cuff. It's not natural. It's a bit like, it's forced sometimes.
Who said that? Mike Tyson says that. He's like, the fighters now, they're mates. Like, they're all mates, and they're trash talking each other. And he's like, they're all mates. He's like, back in my day, he's like, mate, I wanted to kill everyone. Yeah. Like, I generally wanted to eat their children. Like, he literally said that. Like,
he did say that.
He was a terrifying individual.
It's one of the most terrifying speeches.
He's honestly a scary man. Yeah. And I want to say this publicly, because I have said before publicly, because I've got massive tattoos all over my legs and my favourite fighters.
Don't worry, I've committed that. I want to ask about those tattoos.
Yeah, and for me, people often ask why there's no Floyd Mayweather, why there's no Mike Tyson. These are two of the most decorated. And for me, the reasons were, Mike Tyson was convicted of rape, and Floyd Mayweather domestic violence sort of charges and stuff like that. But for me, I actually, next time I go to Bali, that's where I get my tattoos. I'm going to get Mike Tyson tattooed on my leg. I've got another spot up there. And the reason is behind it, because as a society, I think someone does something when they're younger, then we label them for the rest of their life, right? But it's like, to see Mike Tyson now and to see the man he is now, I'm going to get a photo of him now. Because I admire the man that he is now, because he did the work. He did the work. He realized he wasn't happy with the man that he was at the age of 20 to 25 or younger. And to do the work and to see the man he is now, he's like so philosophical. He's balanced. He understands himself. He's got a high EQ, emotional intelligence. He's got high self-awareness. Of course, the video of him punching the dude on the plane was funny, and the guy kind of deserved it. But
fucking kind of. He deserved it. You should get that tattooed on you.
Him flogging that prick in the fucking in his seat. Yeah,
but I just wanted to say that publicly, because I think it's important to recognize when someone does the work. Of course, he fucked up when he was younger. And I don't agree with that in one way, shape or form. But to see the man he is now, you've got to respect him.
Punters and dribblers, we interrupt this Harry Garside podcast to suck off a really important sponsor of the show.
Yep. A sponsor I don't mind going down on from time to time.
Yep.
And they to us.
Well, listen, they support us. We go down on them.
That's right.
That's KO.
Best in the business. Listen, if you want to watch rugby league football this season and you don't have KO, you basically miss all your team's games.
Yeah.
That's the math. It's pure and simple.
You may as well not have eyes.
You may as well not have eyes. You may as well not even support the greatest game of all. So if you don't have KO, now's your opportunity to step up, be a man or woman, okay, and make the right choice, the right decision. Yeah. And that's to go with KO, the best in the business.
Best in the business. Now, this person that we're speaking to, Harry Garside, often has fights either on pay-per-view, which is available via KO, but also I think there are some free-to-air
Wednesday night biffs.
Now, I don't know if he's ever been on there, but is he going to be on there at some point? Yes, he might be.
I reckon he's been on there.
I reckon he's probably been on there. He might be. Who knows? But it's all available on KO. There's also some UFC coming up on KO. KO's where it's at. If you don't have KO, then
get jammed.
This is an official fuck you from Hello Sport. We want to do a sauna series with you and Rowan and Brockman talking greatness.
Yeah, a couple of budgie smugglers in there.
Oh, mate, yeah, exactly.
Oh, obviously, yeah. But talking greatness.
Talking greatness, just sit there sweating greatness.
Like five greats, just sitting.
5 greats just talking.
They're
talking
two
greatness.
kings, aren't they?
Yeah,
Rowan
great fellas.
And they're honestly very grateful to have obviously met Rowan at the Olympics. Didn't really know each other too well, but post Olympics, since moving to Sydney, I'm really happy to meet them too. Sort of bump shoulders with them.
How do you how'd you meet Ned? Do you just reach out to each other? Like, do young greats just start going, "Hey, bro, you doing some cool shit"? Like,
I actually don't remember how. I actually think the first time we met, we had spoken prior, but the first time we met was actually that sauna, and then a few weeks later, he was starting preparation for the 100, and I started just doing a couple of morning runs with him at 4 a.m. He's just an animal. Honestly.
Did he motivate you to do that 100k soft sand run you did?
Oh, 100%.
Fucking psychopath.
Yeah, and I saw it, like, that was it. Yeah, that was in the sort of aftermath of Brockman. And I'm seeing you do 100Ks. Was it on Bondi?
Yeah, on Bondi.
Fuck that, dude. That is ridiculous.
Decision.
Was it all soft?
Soft and hard. Yeah, so just doing laps. Yeah, it was very to be honest, I got halfway through and it's like Ned had a purpose. He had a reason. He's been dreaming about this for 2-3 years. And I did 10Ks on the sand 2 weeks prior. I'm thinking, oh, this was easy. I think it's only 9 more of these.
Yeah.
And I stupidly got about 30Ks in. I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing this for? Like, it was the dumbest decision. I wanted to give up so many times. It's one of those things. Once you say you're going to do something publicly,
but 100Ks, dude. 100Ks is so many Ks.
Mate, honestly, think about what he did though. Like, for me, that is like one of the biggest sporting achievements this country's ever seen.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't get a mention in Australian of the Year.
Dude,
he should have been Australian of the Year. Well, apparently he'd missed the cutoff.
That's what everyone's saying.
Yeah, but
like they know.
But also, fuck the cutoff.
Yeah.
Change the cutoff.
Change the cutoff.
Sorry. He's fucking not going to get it next year for something he did this year.
I think they changed the cutoff because that Peter Bowler, who's a good mate of mine, I love him to be. He's a good man. And he obviously got done recently, and I think he was supposed to receive an award.
Yes.
The Young Australian of the Year, and they gave it to someone else. Obviously, they can change.
They can change it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
They're full of shit.
They are.
And I don't know a whole lot about like the chick who won, but I do know that to me it just seems like I'm all for body positivity, and I think that's what she was about. But I just feel like there are people doing, even if it's not Ned, right? I feel like there are just people who are doing more deserving things. That is just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the person who won. I don't even know who it
was.
Exactly.
Well, there's no one more deserving than Ned because
I heard someone say like there was a frontline worker-esque sort of a person from a COVID perspective. I'm like, I could see that. I don't know if there is one. There's probably fuckloads of them. You can't give it to everyone.
There's probably thousands.
Unless we get some frontline workers running across the country or we get Ned into a nurse's scrubs, like maybe we can see how that goes.
It's just the 100 day after day after day after day after day is fucking absurd.
The head noise.
The head noise, but I also
the head noise. Mate, he'd run the first 80% with no fucking headphones, just in his head.
Yeah,
I know. Are off your rocker.
Yeah, let's try and make it harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's try and make it harder.
I'm going to make this as difficult as I possibly can.
I sat in the sauna with him and Rowan, and this is after he's done the 50Ks in 50 days. And I'm a deep thinker, and I think about what is the thing that motivates me. What is it? Obviously, as I said, the inferiority complex, not thinking I'm good enough. And I asked him, I was like, mate, what's the thing that drives you? He's like, his answer, and I'm like, it's got to be more than this. But his answer was, someone told me I couldn't do something when I was younger. I'm like, no one runs across the country just because someone said you couldn't do something.
Listen,
I'm like,
dude, not a good enough answer.
You either got beaten or something happened.
Like
something's going on. I want to know.
I need it to be more than that. I need it to be more than that. It has to be. It's got to be. It's fucked.
I don't remember him giving us any more of an answer.
That's
than that
what he
either.
gave
That's the same thing. It's like, I wasn't picked at fullback or something. I'm like, fuck off.
It might have been.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is it then?
How don't you know? I just felt like running one day to Palmy and back. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. You were talking about Peter Bowl before. How do you feel about, again, he's got a B sample to come in, but it's like EPO, has to be injected. He denies it strenuously. let's assume based on the first one that he has done it. How do you rationalize that sort of thing where like you know what it takes to be a competitor, you know the effort that goes into it, but you probably also can understand, you're probably maybe more sympathetic in the sense that you know maybe the mental struggles and the desires to compete and everything. Like generally speaking, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I actually had someone talk to me about this because I put up a photo just reaching out to him saying, mate, I'm backing you up, with you through this. And I think as a mate, take away sport, as a mate, it's like he's always been a good bloke to me, always. And regardless, my definition of loyalty is not turning your back on someone when shit hits the fan. It's like showing up, especially when they need you.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like if he has done it, I do not agree with that as an athlete. That series Icarus, it got my blood boiling because it's like us athletes here get tested all the time. We're trying our hardest. We never, we get done for taking Codral Cold and flu. You know what I mean? Like we. And there's people over there who are actually doing it.
And the government's helping them.
Yeah, helping them, exactly right. But as a mate, whatever he does, I don't have to agree with it. And I can let him know that, hey, I don't agree with that. You're wrong for doing that. But I don't turn my back on him.
Have you spoken to him at all? Like,
yeah.
Oh, you have?
Absolutely. I reached out to him as soon as I found out. And I said, hey, mate, if you ever need to talk, thinking of you right now, I could just imagine it's chaos for him.
Yeah, completely.
Especially if he hasn't done it. I mean, we can produce EPO, but he got done for synthetic. I don't fully know the ins and outs of it, to be completely honest. But as a mate, you don't turn your back on your mates when they're in the heap. And
which seems to happen a lot these days.
Yeah, as you set a boundary saying, hey, I don't agree with that. You mean it's like a mate. I'll never forget a really close mate of mine. His partner is about to have a kid, and he's on a bender, and she's like 2-3 weeks from popping, and she's calling me going, have you spoken to him? And I'm like, mate, I got so dirty on him, and he's like one of my closest mates. I said, mate, pull your fucking head in. Like this is wrong what you're doing. Your partner's about to pop, and here you are, buddy. You mean
you don't want to be shit faced in a fucking
turn your phone off, like
suite.
you mean go missing,
right.
like
no.
And I just ripped shreds through him, and I said that's what a proper mate does. It's like they pull you in line when you're not doing the right thing, but they don't turn their back on you. You don't just go, I'm cutting him, because there's so many good memories as well, just like with Peter.
Definitely, I respect that. Respect it a lot. On that, have you ever had anyone be like, "Oh, you want some of this?"
Not in Australia. We're so against it. Yeah, I remember when
we're actually looking into it because we want 6-packs. So we're not all against it.
You should go to Body WRL. They've got this little they've got this machine that I've never used it, but apparently it's like a 20-minute ab workout, and it's like a bloody 10-hour ab workout in 20 minutes.
What is it? Because we just
What
purchased.
machine?
Yeah.
Because we just got the ones that strap on.
I think it could be that. Yeah, I actually heard your podcast about.
They're on their way.
They're on their way.
We're gonna do podcasts and get
Yeah.
jacked.
Dude, I think
I'm gonna look like you.
Yeah, I might come in.
Dude,
as
your
well, boys.
6-pack's shitty at the moment.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, there's a couple of edits on that photo.
Dude,
I saw that pic the other day, bro.
Yeah. No, we had an eye on that.
Damn.
I think that was this morning I saw. Is that on your stories or you just fucking 12-packed?
Would you put it this way? If Tom and I just
Jiggled our way to 6-packs.
we jiggle our way to 6-packs, would you start incorporating it into your training?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
We can guinea pig this thing for you, bro.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
guys.
the canary in the coal mine.
It could be the secret to a world championship. Who knows?
You never know.
You might get that strap.
Yeah, you got to give it a fucking try.
Just like EPO, you never know.
Well, listen, yeah, exactly, mate. We'll give that a go. Is that going to help me get a 6-pack? I don't know. Potentially, if anything,
guinea pigs over
1%ers, anything that's going to get us there.
How much sleep do you get?
Oh, 9 hours. Yeah.
9
hours. Yeah.
Are you easy? Is it easy for you to get to sleep?
Oh, real easy. And I tell you what's so annoying. Like, I feel a bit tired today, just purely because I went to the tennis last night, the men's final.
Lucky you.
I was open, yeah, and didn't get to. Lucky it wasn't a 5-setter, but didn't get to bed until about 12 o'clock. So for me, I usually go to bed at 9:30, and then wake up. 6:30, 7 o'clock, something like that. So yeah, for me, it's like run off 6-7 hours sleep. I had to wake up early for a flight. I struggle, and you do that. You can do it for 1 day, 1 or 2 days for me, but if I do that consecutively.
Also, you're training your ass off, so it's like
your body needs repair. Everyone, you can do all this stuff, like all the recovery ice baths and all the supplements, and they're probably valuable. They're probably that 1%, but the biggest thing is sleep, food, and water. Just have those 3. Make sure you nail those 3. All the other stuff is just a little 0.5%, 1%. It might help. I'll always try things, but they're the 3 biggest, most important.
Do you nap?
I try to, but mate, my brain is wired. Once I'm up, I am up.
I was hoping there was like a nap alarm.
Yeah,
that goes off and
well, well, Tom and I mean, listen, like if in the pursuit of greatness, I'm happy to incorporate a nap in.
No, yeah,
where
yeah,
needed,
yeah,
Tom.
a siesta.
A siesta. Well, there seems to be
Siesta
value in it.
alarm. Fucking put the feet up.
Siesta
Hard
alarm.
at work for a few
That'll
hours.
be our one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be the only thing we take from Harry's a daytime nap.
2 o'clock.
Pretty sure he said to eat mushrooms and sleep during the day.
That's basically all I took from it.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you about, because you were talking about trying to find a purpose that you had when you were in the Olympics, but now it's something you want to try and attach yourself to a purpose. Is it not world title? Is that not purpose?
Yeah, but I think through maturity, through self-growth, through self-discovery, and if you ever read the book Open by Andre Agassi,
I have.
Unbelievable book.
Great book.
A big thing about that is, he was very much the same, lacked a lot of purpose, was just doing it because his dad forced him to do it. And then he started a foundation, and Ben Crow, Ash Barty's mindset coach, he talks about like life's biggest truism is life isn't about us as individuals, it's about the impact we can have on others. And you probably realize that when you have kids, or if you have a partner and you dedicate yourself, or you have, a community just like you guys have built, it's like you're having a positive impact. You're making people happy, you're making people laugh. And it's like, for me, it just feels very much like the world title is all I. And I'm more than that. So I want to make sure it's bigger than me. Whether that means, like, as I said, trying to inspire the next generation to take up combat sport, or start boxing, or do something that's out of their comfort zone, or, be different, be bold, be themselves, or just whatever it is. Like, it just has to be bigger than me. And I haven't fully latched myself to something that's ingrained that I'm just like, yes, that's it.
Have you got an inkling on what that might be?
I really, I'm really inspired and motivated by the younger generation, just more so because I feel like a kid myself, and as well, like young men especially, I just feel like right now in this world, we're almost telling young boys that it's not okay to be a boy. We're like toxic masculinity, how much does that get thrown around, how much does, and I'm like, there is, of course, traits that men 150% need to get a grip on, 150%. But it's like, I think for a young boy, and the conversation's especially loud on social media, for a young person scrolling through, especially a young male, they would be seeing that and like almost suppressing the urge to be a male. Mean that, or that masculine tendency, not to be male, but that masculine tendency of like testosterone and movement and aggression. It's just, it's quite normal, to be completely honest. And I'm quite passionate about young boys and impacting them in a positive way, and young kids, not just young boys, but just impacting them in a way that they find their way in this world, just like I was fortunate enough through the Reach Foundation, a youth organisation when I was 16. So I want to do stuff like that, and I think it'll be around starting something like that. But yeah, not fully certain on how it looks.
Okay. Watch this space now.
Yeah.
What's that?
Watch this space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just think like more young people, like they're getting more and more emotional intelligence. They're getting more and more self-aware. But at the same time, they're more and more disconnected. And there's just a few things just like lacking a little bit of direction and stuff like that. And I just would just love to impact them in a positive way, where it's like the leaders of the future are just, well adapt to tackle things head on.
What then does the professional boxing career look like then, in regards to the pursuit of belts and shit? Like, how far off does that look like on a career path?
Yeah, so I hopefully want to be world rated. One of my goals this year is by the end of the year, if not early in the new year. And then fighting for belts probably when I'm about 15 fights in, so maybe 2 or 3 years. Definitely at that level in 2 or 3 years, and then hopefully getting a chance to fight for a belt in that time as well.
And your weight class, is that like your Tank Davis's, Ryan Garcia? That's like the hot shit of world boxing.
Haney,
Kambosos.
Yeah, it's the strongest division, which I love. A lot of people don't like that, but it makes you have to get better. Yeah. It's like, if you don't get better, you will not run with the horses. Yeah. As simple as that. You will stay where you are. So it's like, because it's the strongest division pound for pound at the moment, it's like you have to level up, or else you will never compete with them. Simple as that. So That's good.
Crazy. Do you have any relationship with Kambosos? Like, have you ever met him?
I played cricket with him. We did a little celebrity cricket match a couple of weeks back. Really good bloke. First time meeting him, actually, and obviously both in the boxing community. But yeah, real good bloke.
Obviously, you're in different you're at different stages of your career. Is there any sup?
I think the media would probably sell it that way. But to be honest, mate, I would fight anyone. I have that old school mindset of of course you don't want to lose, but it's like as long as you're testing yourself, that mindset of of course for a business perspective you don't want to lose because it ruins your reputation a little bit. But it's I would fighting. I'd love to fight anyone. You know what I mean? Just because it's you lose, you're gonna get better. You mean win, lose or draw, you're just gonna grow. So it's you're fighting someone who's a little bit above you, and you have to rise to that occasion.
Yeah.
It's a massive opportunity. But for me, I really got along with him. He's a family man. He's all about bettering himself, and he's chasing the hard fights still.
Yeah.
You mean after obviously the 2 losses, and just still got that winner's mindset, which I admire.
He's an intense character. We chatted with him as well. He's a very intense. You're trying to get him to crack a smile.
Yeah,
we got it.
We did,
but it was one, and it was latched onto it like a bloody.
We'll get him on the mushrooms.
Well,
maybe,
maybe he joins.
Well, he can join us. You two,
yeah,
mic'd up, running through the scrub. Oh, that could go anywhere.
That'd do fucking biblical numbers.
It would, but
running through the bush bashing on mushrooms.
Yeah, bush bashing. Call it bush bashing.
Bush bashing.
Jesus Christ. Are you fighting this year? What's the plans?
Yeah, so I'm actually because you can do amateur and professional now, which is so I was actually I obviously had the back end of last year.
Your hands,
due to hand injury, but finally all good. And I was originally in my head, I was talking to my manager, and we were supposed to fight in Feb. So I was preparing, I was training through Christmas, I was feeling good, feeling fit, feeling healthy. And then they pushed it back to March. And unfortunately, for personal reasons, I can't do March. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to fight because of these personal reasons. I won't be able to fight until mid-year. So I'm like, I'm in the middle of my career. I need to keep fighting. I need to keep active. So I messaged the amateur system because we can do both. And I said, you guys got any tournaments in January, February, March? And they said they did. So I was, I'm just going over to Europe with the Australian amateur team and a couple of tournaments over there, which is awesome. And just good to fight.
Do you wear headgear in amateur tournaments? Is that a thing, or you?
I've taken them off now.
Taken off. So you're just going to go in there and beat the fuck out of a couple of amateurs?
Well, they're top class, so we'll see how we go. I'll probably get the shit punched out of me, mate. but I'm excited to get in there, mate. Just obviously had a lot of time off, and for me, even this preparation, just managing my hand, getting back into it, making sure I only started sparring probably a week and a half ago. So just getting back in there, and I just want to fight. Just want to exercise that muscle of competition and that animal instinct like we spoke about at the start. So it's just excited to fight. Simple as that.
Have you got your eye on anyone for mid-year?
I was supposed to fight this guy called Miles Zaluski, but I had to pull out because of my hand, so it would have to be him first up.
Has to be,
for me, and just for an athlete, you don't pull out on someone and not fight them.
How far out was it from it that you pulled out?
2 or 3 weeks.
Fuck, so it was close.
It's pretty close, yeah. So do the right thing, 100% fight him. He's a great fighter from Brisbane, can punch, bit of a knockout artist, so keep the jukes up, Harry. But yeah, excited to fight him, and then after that, mate, not too sure.
We've always said on this show that the road to greatness for any Australian boxer is paved with plumbers. So, along the career trajectory. But you yourself were a plumber. Is that correct?
Yeah, shit house one, but
that's all right. Do you feel like, the fact that you have worked the tools you've plumbed before actually helps you now to know what it takes to pound plumbers? Have you pounded plumbers yourself?
Yeah, how many plumbers How many plumbers have you pounded?
Oh, there's been a few.
Yeah.
But for me, I love penetrating. Just
oh, fuck yeah. No, that's no knock on. Mate, that's no knock on plumbers.
It's a lot of fun. But for me, my mindset was always if it works for boxing, it works for me. I remember my dad, bit of slave labour here, looking back, when you're 12 years old, you don't realise this, but my dad used to get me working every school holidays, every day off school with him roof tiling.
Yeah.
Roof tiling's so much worse than plumbing.
Yeah.
On the roof. And he's paying me, buddy, what was he paying, $40 a day? Back then, I'm thinking I'm a millionaire, but I look back now, that's slave labour. I'm working harder than any of the other boys he's got because it's my dad.
You could have called docs on the old boy.
I'm thinking, But yeah, so I worked with him as a roof tiler. Even when I left school, I worked with my dad for about 8-9 months, and then got a job plumbing, a bit easier on the body. So did that for about 2.5 years, and then boxing took off, and I was like, sorry boys, gonna have to focus on this.
Yeah, similar to Brockman, who was like, fuck being a Sparky.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be an
Sparky days are behind him somehow. I can't see him back on the
Hey, what about him doing a talk with David Goggins?
I know, dude. That hasn't happened yet, has it?
No, it's
coming out soon.
Yeah,
opening for Goggins is insane.
I think it's Feb or March.
There's a part of me it's crazy because like we said this to Ned, like I'm not someone who seeks inspirational content. I'm not necessarily easily inspired, or maybe I just am it's not hitting me that much. But like there was something about what he did that was just, he got everyone right. Like it was hard not to. But then the idea of like listening to David Goggins speak, I think is too much for me. I think it'd be overwhelming.
Yeah, he's a very intense character, and I don't really want to go and run a 40 k's in a blizzard and then jump in like an ice lake, like
while my hands are tied together.
Yeah, while my hands. Yeah, exactly. It's just that's too much for me. Whereas Ned's just like get out of bed,
keep going, keep trucking.
Like, Ned's more relatable.
Very much so.
David Goggins for me, like don't get me wrong, his mindset when you're training good, like gets you fired up. You know, so hard. Like I love that, but at the same time, I don't relate to him. I wasn't beaten by my dad, or I don't have this, like he calls it the cookie jar. I don't have this unbelievable cookie jar and hardcore life that I can seek inspiration from. I'm a pretty sheltered boy from Australia who had 2 loving parents and a couple of little fuck ups along the way, but nothing major. You know what I mean? So I don't know, someone like a David Goggins I struggle with, but Ned Brockman, he's just one of the boys, isn't he? Just get after it. Just get after it.
Just a kid from Forbes who
fucking ripping and tearing,
rips and tears. Love it.
After we spoke the first time, the 15 minutes of fame, I was driving through, again, I don't know if you remember this, but I was driving through Bondi Junction on a rainy afternoon.
I do.
And I'm looking at there's like a seemingly homeless gentleman standing at the traffic lights with a window cleaner, as you see. I did remark to myself in the car, shit day to be cleaning windows, bro, because it's pissing with rain. But then the lights stop and I see this man start walking across the car, having a look, and I'm like, is that fucking Harry Garside? Cunt was in Fox Sports like 2 weeks ago. What the hell's going on? I'm like, and genuinely I was like, fuck, what happened? What the fuck happened? And I put the window down and you're like, you want to win? And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And then you just, again, in this very quick interaction we had before, you know, like before the lights turn green, you're like, I like to do shit that gets me uncomfortable every once in a while. And I'm like, you're an interesting man, dude. Like I was kind of lost for words. Yeah. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, so the uncomfortable challenges, that was an awesome one, but shit day to clean windows, terrible day. Got about 3 in the hour because no one cared.
Did anyone else recognise you?
I think one other person, yeah. But yeah, it was this started probably the start of 2019. Actually, one of my first ones was riding my dad that card.
Yeah,
so
right.
One of my first ones was in start of 2019. And where I learned this from was, you want to grow as an athlete, you want to grow as a person, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And obviously in the Western world, like we're so comfortable, and it's like it's almost human nature to conserve energy because we're survival beings. If we don't have to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, we won't subconsciously. We want to be in comfort. We want to be eating the Maccas. We want to be relaxing at home, watching Netflix. Like that's what we want to do. But if you want to grow, for me as a person, as an athlete, just put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And Ned Brockman, what was he saying? His slogan, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I've done a challenge once a month for almost, was it 4 years now? Yeah, and just absolutely loved it. My growth as a person and as an athlete has been through.
What's the most fucked up one you've done?
50 hours no talking was hard. I fucking love to talk.
You had tape over your mouth, didn't you?
That was a different one. Yeah, that was 24 hours breathing through my nose, and obviously boxing.
Yeah,
my nose isn't amazing.
Holy shit, dude! So you were like suffocating yourself.
I hated it. Yeah,
24 hours.
24 hours. Like, and I went for a run and. I felt lightheaded the whole time. I don't know how healthy it is, but...
How do you come up with these?
Some are self-inspired. Most of them are. But then also as well, like the beauty of Instagram, you can ask a few people for ideas, and there's many things I'm yet to do, like stand-up comedy. That's on my list of things to do.
Fuck that.
Naked model. I don't know how uncomfortable I'd be. Naked model
I've
for
seen
art.
your dick, dude. You can do it. Six pack as well. I've seen it through a zoot suit. I must remind people. I haven't seen it in the. I haven't eyeballed it.
Yeah, you got a sense.
No, I've got a sense.
The stand-up comedy one.
Oh,
that'd be tough.
It's
terrifying.
Yeah. So that's on the list of things to do, but. A lot of it's just you can do a lot of research as well, like things that make people uncomfortable. Like early on, they were pretty like amateur ones, and then the deeper I got in, the sort of more full on and hardcore they've been. And not every month is hard. Like this month was doing an interview series with 3 famous people where I'm leading the interview. I've never had to do that before.
Who'd you do it with?
Stan Wawrinka.
Yeah,
and then Isla
Tomjanovic.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce her name. And Christian Wilkins. Those were the 3 people. And
you managed to pronounce Christian's name.
it was pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, mate, how about this? I've never opened a bottle of champagne before, right? Like, and people are like, why haven't you? I'm like, I'm 25. I very rarely drink. I'm like, when would I open a bottle of champagne? And they're on camera. There's about 40 people in the room, people from France, the Papa Heinzig people. And I'm like, shit, I've never opened this before. I'm like ripping it open. I'm fuddling because I'm nervous. I'm freaking out.
Dude.
I'm like, and usually you have to like do this, but I'm shooting it because I see people do that when they win
champagne
trophies.
showers.
And I've shot it, and it's missed someone's head by about that much. And I'm just like, I was like sweating buckets.
That would have been so
knocking some guy out. Boom.
Dude, bang. In the eye?
In the eye. Straight in the eyeball.
Sorry. Brand ambassador.
First time. First time.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Whoops, never opened champagne.
Was the 100K one?
So that was the month of pain. So that wasn't just the only one. It was 100Ks on the sand. I did a half Ironman. What else did I do? A triathlon the week after, and then 60K, my longest run. And then 4 days later, I did the 100K on the beach. So it was a stupid month.
What was the 50? So you said 50 hours no speaking was the worst one.
That was probably the hardest. Yeah.
Why particularly? Just because you love to yarn?
Yeah, I just learned what I always thought that my energy release to let go of positive and negative emotions was always training. But what I realized is actually talking. You mean, so whether that be to a mate, whether that be to a missus, or whether that be to my family, like talking is the way that I've always let things go and just like navigate things. And then when I couldn't talk, man, I felt like I was going to implode. Honestly, just like by the end of the 50 hours, I was fired up.
Yeah,
I wanted to scream. I wanted to just like, I was so frustrated, and it's because I hadn't let go or spoke or, and it made me every challenge I learned something new from. Like what I learned in that is like I actually need to shut my mouth sometimes, because when I didn't talk and when I didn't take up the space, the wallflowers in the group, the people who don't really talk, because I wasn't talking, it gave them the opportunity to speak, and it gave them the opportunity to express themselves however they see fit. So I always learn something from each challenge.
We could probably shut the fuck up for a while, couldn't we?
Well, but
unfortunately, it's also the job. Yeah, I guess away from the mic.
Yeah, probably not on the mic.
No, give Tobler and Tommy a chance to.
We're not speaking anymore.
Yeah,
for the day.
You guys chat. Yeah, off mic, not now.
Tobler and Tommy.
Sorry, Tobler and Dave, whatever. On the Hong Kongs. Yeah, we should just be quiet and let Dave smoke bongs in the corner. Express himself.
Yeah, that's good content.
It's great.
ASMR bong smoking.
Oh, that'd be
bubbling.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Mate, I don't have any other questions, man. Do you got anything else?
No, I've really enjoyed this.
I've loved it, man. I've loved
Fucking
it.
Great yarn.
You've definitely been someone, as we said, we wanted to get you back in after that little yarn, but very much appreciate you coming on.
It's my favourite podcast show at the moment, so
thank you, mate.
Fucking oath. We'll clip that up.
Clip that up. Clip it up.
Clip that one up. But mate, I'd love to keep in touch. Come back on whenever you want. If you got a fight that you don't want to abuse someone to promote.
And we've got a couple of podcasts locked in as well, like Talking Greatness.
And Mushy. Bush bashing on Mushy.
Yeah. So we've got 2 teed up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But good luck overseas, and good luck later in the year.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, bro.
Could you two just not talk anymore?